Hello, fellow beach maniacs and island music lovers. Welcome to the Beach Maniac Island Music Podcast, where we dive into the stories behind the music. I'm your host, the Beach Maniac himself, Bill Hurley. Welcome back to the Beach Maniac Island Music Podcast, where we celebrate the stories, songs, and sunny side of trop rock music. As you know, we normally interview trop rock musicians. But today we're doing something different, hanging out with two of the most fun and talented people on the scene, Kenny and Nell Tice from the Livin Like Kenny program on Radio Trop Rock, a 3-hour weekly escape that brings you sunshine, laughter, and plenty of great tunes every Wednesday night. Kenny and Nell, thank you so much for being my guest on the Beach Maniac Island Music Podcast.
My goodness, you're so welcome, Bill. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
This
that
is
was
awesome.
that was quite the introduction. I think you hit the nail in the head. But at first, I thought you were talking about somebody else when you said fun and talented.
I know.
I was
Well, we'll
looking over
see.
my shoulder. I'm like, is there somebody else behind me?
We'll see as we go on here. Actually, you guys are known for being a lot of fun, and I know that's true because, Nell, I understand you were the karaoke queen at Meeting of the Minds last month.
Oh my
And
goodness,
and
news
you
travels
can't
far and fast.
you can't deny it because there's a Facebook video proving it.
There's plenty of video proving it. That's right.
Yeah, when the moment struck, I just roll with it. Sometimes you don't have to be good, you just have to be entertaining.
And you guys are definitely that. So you've built such a fun, welcoming vibe on your show, Livin Like Kenny. Tell us about this show. How did it come about?
I'm going to let Kenny take that one.
Well, specifically how Living Like Kenny came about, it started on a different station under a different name, the show itself. And when we went over to Radio Trop Rock, we couldn't take the name with us. So we had to choose a new name. So we kind of, racked our brains a little bit. But what we were known for is we had a 2-hour time slot and we would consistently just go over. We would, the vibe was there. People were chatting, having a good time. And we just wouldn't stop. We just go as long as the people were there. And our friend Kelly Johnson dubbed it Living Like Kenny every time we went over. And when it came time to name the new show, we just all looked at each other and be like, well, that's the natural fit. It's just going to be called Livin Like Kenny.
So you
Yeah.
started a program on a different online radio station. Is that one we don't want to mention?
No, we can mention it. It was on Sandcastle Radio out of Pensacola, Florida.
All right. And how did that start? I mean, how did your career in online radio begin?
Well, I'm going to let Nell take this one because it's her fault. So
It's my fault. Yeah, that's usually the case. So we actually were approached by a follower of a friend of ours who happens to be our title sponsor of the show, Jeremy from Box 7 Media. He's like the ultimate connector, and he's just always connecting people on Facebook and however he can. So he actually connected us with a friend of his at the time. And she reached out and she said, I'm doing a show. She had her own show on another station. And she said, I'm doing a show about gratitude. Does anybody want to join me? And I was like, what is this internet radio? No one has responded to her. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm in. I'll join you. I've never done live radio, been podcasting for years, but it can't be that different, right? So I did her show and we had so much fun. We stayed connected. And then she reached out one day a few months later and she said, hey, I'm starting my own station with a partner. And would you and Kenny like to be on it? We love your YouTube channel and all of those things. So I said, yeah, sure. We'd love to. Why not? And Kenny said, well, how do we broadcast on live radio? I said, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then we did.
that's exactly what happened.
And you did that show from your home also, which I know you're doing currently, the show from your...
Yeah, we did. We had a show, the flagship show for that station, besides the owner's own shows, was On the Road with Kenny and Nell. That was our flagship show on that station. That was a show that we did together. And then later on, we added Flip Flops and Beer. That was Kenny by himself. That was the name of the show. And I had my own 90s show on the station called 90s Revenge. But we did everything from our home. I mean, it's like, this is amazing. I can't believe we get to actually call this work, you know?
So that sounds like a full-time job.
It it is. So, Bill, there's a fun story behind our very first show, though, which we will share.
Yeah.
I think you'll get a kick out of it, and some listeners as well. So, our very first broadcast was on Thanksgiving night in 2022. We broadcasted from the living room floor of our friend's house that we had Thanksgiving dinner at. We had an interface, 4 microphones, and our friend John kept running back and forth to a different room to make sure we were live. He had the station on somewhere else, and he kept running back and forth to make sure we were live because we were just winging it, kind of. And it kind of worked out, and the rest is history, I guess.
And that's also when we learned about the delay. We had no idea. When he was checking to make sure that we were live, he's like, I don't hear you. What you're saying isn't coming through. That's when we learned there was a delay, a 20-second delay. And I was like, oh, I guess that's how this works.
I didn't realize it was 20 seconds. It's that long.
Well, it depends. So I know that station, depending on where you're listening from. So there's the app, like Radio Trop Rock has the app. You can get in the App Store for all the devices. There's internet, so you could be listening through a website. You could also be listening through a device like Alexa. Hopefully she doesn't wake up. So it depends on what device you're listening on as well. So I've noticed there's much less of a delay through the app than there is through the Sonos that we listen through in our house. I mean, that's like a 30-second delay.
Yeah, but the Sonos, when you're listening on Sonos, we listen through, and I think that's the only way to do it on the Sonos is through the TuneIn app. So it broadcasts through TuneIn. So I think that adds a different level of delay. So yeah, there's a different level of delay, but it's something to get used to when you're first starting, especially if you don't expect it.
You know, it's funny you say that because I have the TuneIn app and I will listen to Radio Trop Rock on it, but it doesn't carry the metadata. So it doesn't tell me on TuneIn what I'm listening to. But only on TuneIn can I project it onto, I don't have a Sonos system, but I do have a Wi-Fi system. That's why I listen on TuneIn, because I can project it. So sometimes I have the two of them running at the same time, so I can listen to it on my speakers and see what's playing on the app.
Yeah, that's interesting, actually, because depending on, and this, we could go on a complete tangent about this, but depending on the metadata in the files that are coming through, so, artists could send MP3s that don't have artwork and things like that attached to it, so then that data won't come through, but I didn't realize that data wasn't coming through just because of a certain platform. So that's interesting. Thank you for educating me on that.
All right, so Livin Like Kenny, what is the objective of the radio program Livin Like Kenny?
Well, the objective is very simple. It's to support as many independent artists as we possibly can, give them the platform that they need for people to be able to hear their music. And what it's also turned into is building a community around, building a community inside the Trop Rock community. And that's what I think we really didn't expect that was going to happen. The mission originally was to support independent artists and get the music out there because there's a lot of amazing music out there being made by unsigned and independent artists that the general public just don't ever get to hear on mainstream radio. And so that was the main goal, but it has shifted into not necessarily shifted, but this community has rallied around the show and has rallied around the artists and listeners and fans alike all gather in the chat every Wednesday night. And that's something we didn't honestly expect when we started the chat. We had no idea that was going to happen. But now the objective is to just keep growing this community, and all of it supports Trop Rock, all of it supports the TRMA, and all of it supports the artist. Anything we can possibly do to grow just adds more support.
All right, to step back a second, it's Livin Like Kenny on Radio Trop Rock, 6:30, actually my time, it's 6:30 on Wednesday nights. I'm in the Central Time Zone, 7:30 Eastern Time Zone, 3 hours long, and there's a chat. To explain more about the chat that's associated with the program.
Nell, you want to take this one?
Sure. Well, we learned very early on with live radio that it really works well if you're reaching out and interacting and you're accessible to the listener base. And people love that. And people also love to feel like they're a part of something and included. And a really great way to do that is to create a chat. And when we first started in live radio, it was really encouraged by the station owners that we were originally with to create Facebook pages and ways for people to get in touch with you. So one day, I think we were talking about wouldn't it be really cool to have this show and people could talk to us while the show was going on? So we said, well, why don't we just create a messenger chat and attach it to our group? And that way, when people listen every time, they can just go into the group and head into the chat and say hello, request songs, do whatever they want. So we started doing that with the old show, and that just kind of carried on throughout Flip Flops and Beer. And that's when the community for Kenny really started growing, was getting into that trop rock community and having that chat going. It was just, it took off like crazy. Totally unexpected. But
Yeah.
again, people just love to be a part of something. And you could definitely feel as all of this was building that this was something. And it was just, became a place for people to gather and, drink, do whatever they want while they listen to the show.
There's a lot of talk about drinking on that chat.
Lots of talking about drinking.
Yeah.
But last night, for example, you had James Drake was on your chat. Alan Jax Bowers was on your chat. Several other artists whose names aren't coming to my mind right now, but it's amazing because it's not just the fans that are on the chat, it's the artists too. And so there's a chance there for the artists to interact with the fans through the radio station. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool to have that interaction as well. And sometimes Eric and Gino will pop into the chat as well. So, it really gives this sense of community around it all.
It's interesting you say that with the artist being in the chat and making the connection and doing those types of things. In a phone conversation I was having with James one time, he mentioned, and it kind of stuck with me, that for an artist, like music and the release of the song is only about 10% of the battle. Like you need to promote, and you need to be available and, be with the fans and just things like that. And I feel like, by being in the chat, by being amongst listeners and fans, that just makes the artist so accessible. And I think it drives people to their music even more because it makes them feel very down to earth. And like the fan is really kind of buddies with the artist,
So how do you pick the music and the artists that you feature each week?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a really great question.
Sometimes we have, we have debuts and premieres and things like that. And a lot of times the artists will come to us, be like, hey, we want to debut this song. We want to, debut it on your show if you want to. So that is how that goes. But as far as how we choose the music, I build the show for the most part. And I just choose, I have a file called Weekly Show. I just throw a bunch of songs in it, and I have a baseline of what I want to play. And then as the night is going on and as the vibe of the chat and depending on how people are feeling, we'll change it up in the middle of the show. We'll be like, all right, we need to go this direction or that direction. But so usually we have a base point, and then we build off of it depending on how the chat and the crowd is enjoying.
What's something listeners might be surprised to learn about that goes into producing that weekly show?
There you go, Nell.
Good question.
She's the producer.
Well, it honestly takes days to put into this. Kenny's usually, I mean, he's an early bird anyway, so he's up at like 5 a.m. and he's working on the show. And there's also, I mean, if you're a loyal listener, you do understand that I love a spreadsheet. So there's a massive spreadsheet that we have that's going throughout the entire show that, we've set up a system basically through the Facebook group. There's a form you can fill out to put in for requests because each last half hour of each show is a request. So you can do that. There's the systems building and the record keeping and all of that work, the scheduling and the communication and the planning that we do weird travel news. I got to research that. So the time and the effort that goes into all of it, and it goes on throughout the entire week. We're just constantly making sure that we're trying to stay in touch with everyone and posting on social media. I mean, it's marketing 101, and just being able to stay in contact, I think, and all the time that goes into it is something that a lot of people would be surprised by.
Yeah, so you have a 3-hour show. You're on the air 3 hours, and people might think, oh, they only work 3 hours a week.
Right.
But
Wow. Yeah.
that's not what it is, right? How many hours a week do you think it takes to prepare for that show?
Ooh.
I don't
great
know
question.
the amount of time you put in researching your news and things like that, but it's easily 6 hours in preparation time for the show. So
yeah, I would say that
yeah,
for sure.
typical preparation is because I have a day job that I go off to. So I'll start about 5:30 in the morning on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll work up till like 7:30 on the show, building everything around it. And I'll do that Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday is sort of wrapping it up. Wednesday morning, getting the Facebook post going because we do a big Facebook post so that everybody knows what to expect on the show. And that way we can, highlight some of the artists that we're going to be featuring, things like that. So yeah, probably 5 to 6 hours of prep time, not counting the 3 hours of the live show.
So I haven't been to your home. I haven't seen your at-home studio, but I feel like I have because you recently posted a behind-the-scenes video on YouTube, which I personally thought was very interesting to see how your setup is there and that you converted your house into a studio. So tell us about what that setup is and how that works.
All right, Nell, I'm going to let you go for this one because you use it all day, every day. So this is your domain.
Yeah, well, we didn't start out as audio people. So I'm the video gal, and basically that's what we do in our business is video production. I consulted our good friend Jeremy at Box 7 Media, and he's an audio guy. So he's a musician by trade. He's a drummer. He also is an audio engineer, mixer, does all the things. So he knows audio. And when we first signed up to do live radio, I said, I need a favor. I don't know anything about this. Tell me what I need. And he's, I tried to plug a microphone into the computer and thought it would work. And that's just not the case. I didn't want to just, kind of throw things out there and not sound great and things like that. When I go into something, I go all in. So when we started podcasting, we had a mixer and we had these microphones, and decided to upgrade a little bit. So we upgraded to a Claret 4 Plus audio interface, which is by Focusrite. So it has 4 inputs, XLR inputs, and that thing is a workhorse. It is amazing. I mentioned that I have a Shure mic here at the desk all the time. It's the SM7B, which is like the gold standard in the industry, as well as cloud lifters and cables and all the things. Kenny, so we basically are using virtual DJ to broadcast from. We've been using that ever since, well, there was a time when I was using Apple Logic in addition to, it's called Butt, which is broadcast using this tool for computers. It's like a free, I don't even know what you call it, software or something to output the audio through. That was pretty clunky because I went through a period where I absolutely refused to use virtual DJ. It's gotten better now. But, we've got this
When
the
you
main
say
computer.
virtual DJ, what
Mhm.
exactly is that?
So that is software that is built for DJs. So like if a DJ goes to a wedding and is doing the things, it's the virtual version of like the turntables. So you're dropping files in and hitting play, and there's decks and all the controls that you would have on turntables, but it's all happening on the computer virtually. Uh, there's a broadcast feature inside of that, which is what we use. It's pretty cool, actually. I'm beginning to like it again.
I- if you do enough research on it, you'll find that there's not a lot of good tools out there to broadcast live internet radio. I know the one that Eric and Gina use, name escapes me now, but it's only available for Windows, and we use nothing but Mac. So we don't have the ability to use that one. And when you're searching for software to broadcast live internet radio, it's a little bit scarce out there. So Virtual DJ does a really good job for us. It's not without its challenges or clunks, but for the most part, we're very happy with it.
Most tech is clunky anyway.
Right. And when you refer to Eric and Gina, you're talking about Eric and Gina Babin, who run Radio Trop Rock, and they run that I believe, out of Texas. Is that right?
Yeah, they have a studio in Texas, as Gina says, in the beautiful hill country of Texas. But I know they travel a lot, and they broadcast a lot from live shows and house concerts and things like that. So they do a lot of on the road broadcasting as well.
Yeah,
And you're in
which is
Pennsylvania.
correct.
Yes.
So when you broadcast, you're broadcasting directly to the internet. How does that connect with Radio Trop Rock? How does that work?
That's a great question. I'm going to let Kenny take this because I'm
I
not
don't
very
want to
good
get too
explaining it.
technical, but I just kind of find this interesting.
Well, we
Yeah.
have
Technology has made this possible.
Mhm.
It really has.
It's true.
So we have a login to the Radio Trop Rock server. So, usually a half hour or so before the show, I log into the server, and, that's sort of the back end of it. We can see what's playing. It gives me like a countdown to when our show starts, things like that. And then we have a username and password that we embed into Virtual DJ so that when we hit the broadcast button, it connects directly to the Radio Trop Rock server using that, username and password, and so that's how it accesses.
That's amazing. And it always works flawlessly, right?
Always.
Negative.
We've never had a show where Earl comes in. All the listeners of the show will understand who Earl is.
Yeah.
It's the Phantom that comes in and knocks us off the server occasionally. That was a tricky show that we had, and we still don't feel really great about it. But it's live radio. That's the saying. It's live radio.
With technology, something always is going to go wrong at some point.
Exactly.
It's always going to happen.
Yeah, you can
at least.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, I mean, at least with a pre-recorded show, you have the opportunity to go in and edit and things like that, and we don't have that with live
Right.
radio.
Right.
For the
So-
longest time, for the longest time, we kind of thought that we were broadcasting over Wi-Fi, and everybody's like, oh, just hardwire. So we hardwired everything. We have really good internet. We have fiber optic internet. The whole thing, and we hardwired long time ago. And it's still glitchy once in a while. So you can try all you want, but you can't take it too personal. And luckily, people listening to the show, at least 99.9% of them, just go with the flow and have fun with it.
Hey, that's part of being a trop rocker.
That's right.
Just go with the
Exactly.
flow.
Absolutely is.
So, did I lose you for a second? Okay, I think we're good. Speaking of technology, I thought I lost
Right?
you for a second. Yeah. So, how is the show the same or different now? I think you've been doing it about 8 months or so.
Yes, that's about right.
Than
yeah.
what you had envisioned it before you started. How did it evolve differently or in the same that you had envisioned?
I don't think it has changed since when we first went over to Radio Trop Rock, because the show was already established. So it was like, I don't think it has changed a lot in the 8 months. What I will say is the community has grown since we've been on Radio Trop Rock. Radio Trop Rock has a very big reach inside the Trop Rock community. So the community of people listening and the community of people chatting and joining the group, the Facebook group has doubled in size since the move to Radio Trop Rock. So that's one thing that has changed. And it's just, we've met new people and new listeners since the move, and I think it's just because of the expanded reach that Radio Trop Rock has over a lot of other stations.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think my role in the show started out a bit smaller intentionally because, Flip Flops and Beer on Sandcastle was all Kenny. And I would hop in the chat, just to be with people and have fun and all the things. And then, I started out as a producer because this is a lot to do, and when it's live and there's a chat, there's a lot to manage, and I was just kind of behind the mic, but I wasn't saying too much, and I was intentionally trying not to because it was his show. And then I just started to get roped into it a little bit more, and then there was the Nell for President movement and all the things, and it started to feel like one big happy family. So here we are.
Call it what it is. The people demanded it. And Bill, it's to your point earlier, going back to like what it takes to pull the show off. And so there's 3 of us that have access to the Google Doc that has the spreadsheet and everything on it. And the spreadsheet basically lists all the people in the chat, because when I'm giving shout outs, we don't want to miss anybody. We don't want to miss anyone. So on any given night, I'm on the Google Doc, Nell's on the Google Doc, and our friend Kelly Johnson, who's also an admin for the Facebook group, or the Facebook chat, I'm sorry, she helps out too. And it just keeps everything straight. And Kelly helps a lot real time, because every once in a while there'll be somebody that's trying to get in the chat. They can't figure out how to do it. And Kelly's not even here. She lives at like 45 minutes away from us. So she's helping people like get in the chat when people are having problems. So it truly is a community.
So you were, your show, even though it's only 8 months, it was 7 months old at the time, I think, was nominated this year for the Best Trop Rock Radio Show by the Trop Rock Music Association. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What did that nomination mean to you two guys?
God.
Best live radio show. Wow.
What it
my
meant,
goodness.
What it meant to me personally was I felt really great for all the folks in the community that rallied around the show from the very beginning. There's a lot that have been there from the very start, and I felt like it was vindication for them, because they're putting in the hard work too, showing, they might be drinking along with the show and having a good time, but they're putting in the work too. So what it meant to me personally was the fact that it gave some vindication to all the folks that gather every single week, because it's not just about us at all.
No, that's absolutely true. I mean, it's for the community, but something kind of hit me when we were actually sitting at the award show during Meeting of the Minds, and the category came up and everything, and it hit me, and I thought, who the heck do we think we are to be sitting here right now? Like, we've only been on the station for 7 months. How on earth did we get nominated for that? Like, there's no way we're winning this. And which we didn't. Congratulations to Eric and Gina, who won for in that category. And it's, all the awards were kept into Radio Trop Rock this year, which we're very happy about. It just, I know it sounds so cliche, but just to be nominated is such an honor. I mean, it truly is, especially after just being here for a short time. I mean, that's a testament to the rallying and the community and the work that gets put into everybody coming together each night. It's truly amazing and quite humbling, honestly.
And that kind of leads me to my next question, because you guys are now fully involved in the Trop Rock community. For someone who's never experienced the Trop Rock community or isn't real familiar with it, how would you describe that as a community?
Wow. It is
what a great question.
It is a Trop Rock event is the biggest family reunion that you've ever been to that you actually want to be at.
You stole that. Someone else used that. Was that Biz? It might have been Biz.
Maybe it might have been Biz. Somebody else did say that, but it hits the nail on the head. Like, you show up with these people that you maybe have just chatted with on Facebook. Maybe you're just Facebook friends and all you see is each other's posts. But when you show up at an event and see them for the first time, they're hugging you. They're taking pictures with you. You're like best friends with someone you barely have ever met. And everybody in Trop Rock is that way. It's amazing. It's the most welcoming community I've ever seen or been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how I could follow that up, other than the fact that it's the most amazing community that I've ever been a part of. And there's an energy, there's this aura, when you do get together, if you go to a house concert or something like that, it's like we're all in this together and we just appreciate each other so much and we're all there for the same reasons and supportive. And there's really just nothing like it, quite honestly.
I mean, what other community do you know of that invites people to their homes? Sometimes complete
I know,
strangers
it's crazy.
just to hang out in their backyard and drink, and there's never a problem. There's never trouble. Everybody just gets along and hangs out, and because everybody's there for the same reason, to listen to good music and support live independent music. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's a place that you can leave all of your troubles behind. You don't have to talk about politics. You don't have to talk about your divorce. You don't have to talk about, which kids messed up this week. You don't have to talk about any of that. You leave all that at the door and you just come in, you enjoy music, you have a drink, and you hang out with your family. And it's just amazing.
And the house concerts that you are referring to are amazing because they're usually a pretty small amount of people. There can be 20, 50, 100 people. And you're there with this amazing talent on stage. It's not like you have to go to an arena where there's 50,000 people. You go to this small venue, you can hear the music clearly, you can get a good view of the artist, and then you can go up and chat with them afterwards. It's just amazing.
I mean,
and they're also, like you say, they're also welcoming, and they will chat with you, even if they never met you before, just because you're there, and they're going to be the nicest people you'll ever meet.
I mean, Bill, to your point, we were at a house concert this summer. There was probably 30, maybe 40 people there tops. 6 feet in front of us was John Frinzi, John Patty, and Brendan Mayer. Like, the three of them just playing music for like 30 or 40 of us while we were sitting there drinking beers. Like, come on. What other musical genre allows that to happen?
Yeah.
I was at one in Milwaukee with Eric Erdman and Donnie Brewer, and Doyle Grisham from the Coral Reefer Band shows up, and Akira Shador shows up.
Oh,
they were performing that night, then following night. It's like, what? And there were only like 30 people in the audience. So
well, this is, I actually just edited a podcast today about this that'll be coming out soon on Rhythm of the Road. It's Jeremy's podcast. He interviewed someone, a little sneak peek into it, that's basically a business coach in the music industry for musicians. And he said something really that really resonated with me. And he said, it's, we're not just selling music anymore. You're building relationships. And that's what the Trop Rock community is really excellent at, with, like our chat on Wednesday nights, being able to interact with the artists and the fans. And the house concerts, same idea. It's a more intimate atmosphere. So you have a much more personal experience with the artist and their music, and you can connect that much more just by having those 30 or 40 people there, rather than 20,000 of your closest friends and security in front of the stage, and you can't even, say hello.
Right. So do you have any like standout moments that you've had in the 8 months that you've been doing the show?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, do
I
you?
do.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So this is actually pretty recent. Alan Jax Bowers had released his own music, his own solo track, solo with some friends of his, but his own work. And
Cloudwatch.
Yeah, cloud watching. And as an artist, and I used to tell people I was not creative or an artist or anything like that. And especially I can imagine for him doing this as long as he has and working with so many talented people as he has, there's a level of something that I can't really explain when you put your own projects out there into the world. And he said, "Hey, I've got this single. I want you guys to premiere it." And he said, "What time?" Logistically, we were working everything out, and he said, "My entire family's going to be listening." And I was like, I mean, I could cry right now thinking about it. Like, here this artist is putting his heart and soul into his own music, and he's entrusting us with putting it out there, and his whole family's listening, and that's a huge responsibility. And it's not even, that's the most recent moment that comes to mind, but every single week these artists trust us to put this music out there. This is their life's work, their passion, and their livelihoods. And it is just such an honor to be able to have that responsibility. It's pretty unexplainable. I mean, yeah, it's just that's what resonates with me.
Well said. Well said.
Very, very well put. Kenny, how do you feel about
Well, I mean, I don't think I could possibly say it any better as far as that goes. But one of the coolest moments on the show actually just happened last week, not this past show, but the show before. So one of the members of Manalo, Pete Robertson, Pirate Pete Robertson is he's an artist. He's an independent artist in his own right. He's starting to release new music of his own. He released a song called Pickle Shots. And he was playing live at a bar in Nokomis, Florida called Nokomo's, and he broke his set, basically played Radio Trop Rock through the speakers, and we debuted his song for the first time anywhere live as it played there for the people that were listening to him in the bar, and everybody did pickle shots as the song was playing. And that was cool. And then everybody sending us pictures afterwards of everybody doing shots and hooting and hollering and having a good time. And we just felt like such a big part of, like, the people were having fun. He texted me later. He goes, the people thought that was amazing. Like, they thought it was so much fun. And to just be a part of that it gives me goosebumps now. Like, it's just fun. Like, those people, I don't know if it was 20 people, 30 people, 50 people, everybody had a blast because they felt like they were a part of a live radio moment of the debut of a song that had never been heard before by anyone. So it was very cool. And, that kind of goes along with Nell's point. The fact that these artists us to do this is the wildest thing to me.
Have you ever had anybody cry on your podcast, Bill?
No, I don't think so. This is the first.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, like Kenny said, I mean, it's absolutely amazing that we have the opportunity to do this and, help these artists put their work out there like that. It's just incredible.
I was going to say, fortunately enough, in that situation, we had boots on the ground. Some of our friends, Jake and Kim, were also there. So I had Jake texting me being like, hey, let me know if we're actually live or if he's having some trouble getting the station to play. That way we know we have to, play an extra song or two. So it was a very big coordinated effort that included Jake and Kim. So everybody was involved. The whole family was involved.
True.
I know
very true.
Jake and Kim are like super fans, but tell me a little bit about them.
Oh.
Wow.
I call Kim fairy godmother because let me tell you, they are two of some of the most incredible people that we know. And through all of this, we've met some incredible people, and they're amazing friends, supporters. Specifically when we were at Meeting of the Minds, they were actually staying in a room in a condo like right next to us. And so we would, walk down to the hangout together and things like that. But it was also helpful because, we realized like we didn't have any coffee filters for coffee the next morning in our room or something. And I was like, Kim, Do you have any coffee filters? Yep, I got you. Come on down. And we were refereeing the Celebrity Trop Olympics. It was hot. Oh my goodness. Kim came over, and I said, can you do me a favor? Can you please get us a couple of waters? Here she was with water, and then we had refills. Oh, do you guys need a ride over to the TRMA Awards? I got you. She's just like, she's a godsend.
Yeah, one of the coolest things is it's been very genuine with them because it started with they just listened to the show. They popped into the chat. They popped into the chat one night and just started listening. And from then on, we connected, eventually exchanged phone numbers. And then, now there's some of our best friends on the planet. So it's really cool. They're big time supporters of the Trop Rock community. They're very much an asset to Trop Rock.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows this, and sorry, Jake, if you're listening, giving away all of your secrets, but they buy the merch, they buy the tickets. That's some of the best ways to support these artists. And for pretty much, at least every show that we've seen them at, whichever artist is playing, Jake will do a wardrobe change and changes into the shirt of the artist that is currently playing. So, that to me is dedication.
So when we started out here, I said we'd try to keep this to 30 minutes, and we're already approaching 45, and I knew that was going to happen. But I do
it too.
I do want to ask briefly about EnTICEing Media, because that's the other project you guys are working on. Tell me about that.
Yeah. EnTICEing Media is our baby. It's our business, and we started it in 2020 is actually when I think we registered the LLC. But it all started with our YouTube videos, actually, our travel vlog. And we started producing these videos, and the end of 2019. So in 2020, worst time to have a travel vlog, let me tell you. We had to give that up for a little bit, but we didn't want to give up the channel. So we started making videos about anything and everything we could. And then eventually, that turned into friend and family events. We did a wedding and things like that. People were asking, hey, would you do this? So we took some of that time in 2020 to kind of hone in on video editing skills and videography. And by the end of 2020, like I said, we had registered our LLC, and we had always talked about one day either traveling full time or doing something that doesn't allow us to be in one place all the time. And we'd talked about me quitting my job and, starting to move the business forward a little bit more. One day in 2021, I walked into work and I sat down and I said, I'm resigning at the end of the year. I didn't even tell Kenny I was doing it. And I came home and I said, hey, I quit.
I'm like, oh, good.
Wow.
All right. Well, I guess we're doing this. January 1st of 2022. I was sitting in this chair right here, and I went full time with the business. And we still do a little less videography now, but I've done a lot of profile videos for financial advisors, real estate agents, local businesses, and started producing podcasts during that year as well, which is eventually how I linked up with Jeremy at Box 7. And we work very closely with them. So we still do podcast production. We do YouTube channel management as well, because really gained experience in that as well. So yeah, EnTICEing Media has taken on quite a few pivots. Kenny was actually installing like smart home systems for a while. Like, this is the evolution of a business. So we're in year 5 now, which is mind-blowing to me, honestly. But yeah, I do basically our day-to-day operations. I'm still editing. I'm handling all of that back-end stuff. And Kenny's like our business manager, basically. So he's taking all care of all the fun stuff.
Something like that.
Taxes, QuickBooks,
Oh,
all the things I don't want to deal with.
yeah.
I can honestly tell you, Bill, I'm I'm in awe of, what Nell has done with the company, because she's grown it by herself. I go off every single day to my job, and she's grown this thing by herself and self-taught. She didn't know how to edit videos when we started YouTube. She figured it out and did it on her own, on free, all this free software you could find, anything that was free to use. She figured it out and did it, and has turned it into a growing livelihood. And it's really fun. It's really fun to watch, because I might be co-owner of the company, but I'm seeing it from afar sometimes, and definitely doesn't get enough credit for the work she puts in, but I see it.
I appreciate that. Sometimes I do. He asks me questions and I'm like, dude, we need to get you more involved in the company here. Um, so you just asked me a question tonight. I was like, you should really know this. But it's, you're not, I hear this all the time. You're not an entrepreneur if you don't want to at least quit once a week and get a job at McDonald's, because, it's not easy. This is not easy. Growing something from the ground up is it'll pull you in every direction. It'll tug at all the strings. But that's why you have a community surrounding you, and amazing friends and support systems, and all of that really matters. And I gotta tell you, I used to have like a crying corner in the office, which is what I used to call it. There have been a lot less of those incidents. I haven't had to go to the crying corner quite as much since, honestly, I've been in the Trop Rock community, because, this is just like, you feel the support, you feel the love. Like, if I fell down tomorrow, everyone would be there to pick me up, and vice versa. It's so important. But the business has been a labor of love, and we're not stopping anytime soon. We're still growing. We got big stuff coming in 2026.
Definitely not.
Wonderful. I can't imagine all the work that you guys have to put into everything that you're doing. And then you're doing a lot of traveling too, like Meeting in the Minds and other Trop Rock events and festivals and house concerts. And I don't know where you find all the hours in a day to do it.
Well, let's just say we don't watch a lot of TV. We watch, we have our things that we watch, but, when we have downtime, which is like football Sunday, maybe.
We watch a lot of we actually watch a lot of YouTube. We have some favorite YouTubers that we watch, and the community around some of those YouTube channels is almost like the Trop Rock community a little bit. People, they're sharing. A lot of YouTubers are sharing their lives. And that's, the community kind of rallies around that, because you feel like you're part of your favorite YouTubers' lives. And, we feel that on the other end, when we watch YouTube, and we feel like we're a part of, whatever they're doing in their lives. So I hope that our community that listens to Livin Like Kenny and watches and listens to everything we do, I hope they feel a part of our lives, because they are.
That's great. So I want to wrap this up with like three quick kind of rapid fire questions. One, if you could broadcast Livin Like Kenny from anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Easy.
Oh,
Costa Rica.
We haven't broadcasted Livin Like Kenny, but we have broadcasted from Costa Rica. Yeah.
Yes.
We love Costa Rica.
All right. One dream guest you'd love to have on the show.
Oh, I mean, besides Jimmy Buffett,
I was going to say Jimmy Buffett, but obviously that's never going to happen. For me, it'd be awesome to have Zach Brown on.
I was going to say Kenny Chesney.
We've seen the Zach Brown band, half a dozen times now, and we just really dig their vibe. We dig Zach Brown's vibe, and it'd be cool to sit down and have a whiskey or two with Zach Brown and talk to him a little bit.
And finally, Livin Like Kenny means.
Livin Like Kenny means that, you kind of throw caution to the wind. All rules are sort of out the door, and you do what you're feeling in the moment, which is how it started when the term came to be, and we were just doing radio shows as long as we wanted to. We just did what we were feeling in the moment. That's what Livin Like Kenny is. Do whatever you want to do, and whatever you're feeling in the moment, just do it.
Yep, that's pretty much it. As the Whelan brothers say, you got to break the rules if you want to break free. And it's about breaking the rules. It's about being yourself. It's about doing your thing and not letting anyone else get in your way and going with the flow and yeah, just being you and doing good things in the world and supporting arts in whatever form that may be.
All right. Well, Kenny and Nell, this has been a blast. Thanks so much for sharing your stories and your good vibes and everything you do for the Trop Rock artists and the Trop Rock community.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having us. It was an honor and a pleasure.
Absolute honor. I was blown away when you asked us to be on. And I will say, Bill, you're doing some great things for the Trop Rock community as well, just by doing this podcast featuring artists. I saw you had Jax on, you had Greg Mahaley on, who's an amazing friend of ours as well. And we absolutely love those interviews that you did. So keep doing them because we like them.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. We'll see you down the road somewhere.
All right, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you again, Kenny and Nell Tice, for joining me on the Beach Maniac Island Music Podcast. For more information about the Livin Like Kenny radio show on Radio Trop Rock, visit beachmaniac.com, where this podcast is housed, and where you'll find both an audio and video podcast, along with some video clips and links to the Livin Like Kenny social media sites. You'll also find the video podcast on the Beach Maniac YouTube channel. Just search for Beach Maniac Island Music Podcast. And thanks to everyone for joining me, Bill Hurley, the Beach Maniac, as we go behind the scenes and explore the magic behind the music. For more about me and my passion, visit beachmaniac.com or contact me at bill@beachmaniac.com. Remember, whether you're soaking up the sun or catching the waves, we hope you're feeling those good beach vibes. Until next time, keep the sand between your toes and the ocean breeze in your hair. Stay safe, stay cool, and we'll catch you on the next wave.
Traded suit ties for sandals and caps. Won't ever go back.